Yo, family, what is good? Welcome back again to another daily live stream where we are seeing another shakeout, another liquidation in the markets. Are we in a confirmed bear cycle? I'm still not so sure just yet. Of course, that's my own belief, not financial advice. We are seeing continued headwinds, and as I had stated over the past what feels like a month now, we are likely to continue seeing this sort of negative price action through the immediate short term. The reason for why is not because crypto is dying or crypto is dead, which I'm seeing repeated comments about that now. FUD is getting at all-time highs. The reason why the markets are dumping is actually quite simple. You just need to know where to look and how to do your research. We'll get to why in a moment. There's already evidence. If you look at the market right now, there are some assets that are performing quite well, which gives you the evidence you need to know to see what is causing the market pullback. And then we have got some other interesting updates as well in general, of course, Kaspa related, where we have seen recently Vitalik Buterin, the founder of Ethereum, release a very, very lengthy, long update, which, to summarize what he said, he's basically just said that they are going to restructure Ethereum's business model, its architecture, to resemble one that is Kaspa's. Which, you already copied the Ghost DAG for Ethereum, and now you're going to try and copy Kaspa more so as well. I mean, if that doesn't tell you that Kaspa's the future, I don't know what does. But that being said, family, welcome back once again to the stream. Hope you're doing very, very well this evening. As we look at the market chart right now, Bitcoin's currently valued at 73,400, down 2.91% on the daily time frame. We did see Bitcoin momentarily lose the support level when it retraced below 73k to around 72,200. Hopefully we enter today's trading day within the zone here. If not, then we could see Bitcoin retrace back to 70k. We've been hearing a lot from others that we could potentially see a 50k Bitcoin on the cards, and we spoke about it last stream. Not last stream, even because last stream was with myself and Crypto Pumps, with Chad, and also with Wolfie. But the stream before that, we spoke about the fact that 50k is most definitely on the card. Wouldn't count it as, completely impossible. And that would result in a 60% pullback from all-time highs, which you could argue that would be a bear cycle confirmation if we came back that much. And I'll probably concede at that point, if we did come back that much as well, that we would be in a sort of bear cycle. But there's still a lot of evidence to suggest that 2026 will be a big year. Evidence that I've shared to my VIPs and even in these streams. And a lot of the reassuring information coming out soon will hopefully flip that sentiment as well. Bitcoin's currently down. ETH is also down 2.1k. Kaspa's down to 3.13 cents or 0.0313. Kaspa did momentarily lose 3 cents. That was a few days back. It's kind of flatlining right now, which, considering how volatile Bitcoin is being, Kaspa's not being as volatile, that could be a sign that the floor for Kaspa is in. I wouldn't class it as that just yet. I do think we still have some more downside in Kaspa in the immediate short term, because it depends on what's happening in the general economy. Now that I've got that kind of ramble introduction out of the way, crypto's not doing well. Why? What have we been talking about daily in these streams? What is the piece of analysis you should be doing to understand why the markets are moving? Look at the market right now. Look at the trading view I have up right now. What do you see? One thing you should see very quickly is oil. Up only 0.67% right now, but was up a lot earlier today. Oil is rallying. What does that tell you? It should tell you that there's something happening in the Middle East. That's pretty much the only time that oil tends to rally right now, has been a result of geopolitical tensions in the Middle East, whether it be Israel versus Iran, or in this instance, it's America versus Iran. Oil prices are trading firmer this morning after settling 1.55% higher yesterday. Tensions between the US and Iran have re-emerged after the United States shot down an Iranian drone flying near a US aircraft carrier. That is why the markets are dumping. Not because Kaspa's terrible, not because crypto's terrible, not because we're in a guaranteed bear market. Of course, we could be going into a bear market due to all of the pressure being piled on crypto. That could be an unfortunate outcome. I'm not in that mind space right now. I think we're very much 50-50 on whether we're going into a bull or a bear cycle. There are certain zones we need to hit. If we hit 50k Bitcoin, I'm inclined to believe that, yeah, maybe we're in a bear cycle. How long it goes on for really depends on the forward indicators, the Clarity Act, the regulations, the midterms, all those sort of developments. We're going to a bull cycle. We have to pass probably 100k or so for me to have a bit more confidence that we're going back into a bull. But right now we are seeing so much just FUD and stress, and it's being driven a lot by this sort of news here. One thing also important to note is that there was meant to be negotiations between Iran and Israel at the White House scheduled for Friday in 2 days' time. We have now just received news that the nuclear talks between the US and Iran scheduled for Friday have now been cancelled. So we're in, once again, that period of uncertainty. We can see that the markets are not happy with the concerns of potentially war. I don't believe, and I sure hope we don't get a war, of course. And I'm not even talking from the financial perspective. I don't think war is... It's a humane feeling to not want war, I believe. You know, I don't want to see people die. I don't think anybody should. But from a financial aspect as well, no, war is terrible. War will only profit those who are in the stocks that are kind of warfare-based and oil, you know. But because we have those tensions that are still escalating and still growing, because we're not getting negotiations, because we're not getting a resolution, the FUD's lingering and it's stewing and it's growing. And when that happens, investors don't like risk. Crypto, equity, stocks, these are risk on markets. More you see geopolitical tensions, more you see negative macro reports, whatever it may be, the more you'll see these markets dump. Now, is there manipulation going on right now? I wouldn't put it past it happening. Are some of these projects going down because they're terrible? Also, probably the case. But for the general lands that is crypto right now, the general crypto space, this space isn't dumping because it is a scam in the general consensus, or it's going to go to zero, so to speak. It's because it has become a more recognized asset class, a monetary asset class, and therefore these developments that actually impact the market is affecting crypto as well. Last cycle, this sort of stuff wouldn't have impacted crypto the way it's doing right now, but it is. It is. I made a video on my channel about an hour ago or so now, maybe two, which covered this speculative but seemingly quite reassuring post that Visa is looking for other blockchain solutions, possibly Kaspa. The reason I talk about that right now is because what that post should tell you, if not that it's going to get into Kaspa, it should at least tell you that Visa, MasterCard, and that's just the list two of literally hundreds, if not thousands, of massive financial institutions, world-leading institutions. They want crypto tech. They want to utilize and incorporate it into the back end of the technology. So this negative price action, I will put it down and right now chalk it down to it being a shakeout, because this gives them better entry. You've got BlackRock involved, you've got Vanguard that got involved, offering ETFs to their clients around tier. JP Morgan finally got involved as well. The price is down. This gives these institutions better entry zones for the price does recover. When the price recovers, it's anyone's guess. I still think it's going to be this year. Of course, time will tell. But Kaspa being down is not indicative of Kaspa being a bad project. It's corrected as much as every other project. It just started 6 months earlier. And if we're going to talk about price, which of course people will do throughout this stream, I'm sure, I encourage you to look at pretty much any other project. They're down from their starting value, down as much from all-time highs. So get out of the bubble and start analyzing from a wide perspective before you start funding a project, is my kind of sentiment on that. We have heard some reassuring news that apparently the European Parliament, after the whole FUD between Trump and Greenland, where the EU was like, okay, we're not doing any trade deals with you anymore. It looks like there now apparently has been an agreement to resume work on implementing a US trade deal, which hopefully will take place in March. But while there is no trade deal, that is still going to lead to FUD and uncertainty. But either way, that is reassuring. It's still a shame that we've got this growing tension in the Middle East right now of the US. And then also we have heard some unfortunate news that apparently there's been lackluster developments regarding the Clarity Act, because the banks aren't shifting and are unwilling to compromise over stablecoin yields, which has been Coinbase's main concern and why they're not happy right now, because banks are saying nobody but us should be able to earn rewards of stablecoins over yields from users. So the White House has asked both sides to return prepared to agree on real changes. Until that happens, the bill is unlikely to move forward. That is the stance we're in right now. There are other regulatory frameworks that are already progressing and soon to be finalized. MiCA in Europe, the stablecoin Genius bill. Despite there now being concerns from banks regarding that bill now, that's already been signed. So I don't see it being reverted. I can only hope. And in that the case, therefore, the Genius bill, that doesn't get signed into law properly, I think, until 2027, but it'll get through the next stages throughout this year as well. So with these regulations, progressing, that will bring more clarity for institutions to get involved in this space as well. So these are all, general fundamental developments that we need to take into account when looking at the market. Understand right now, in the short term, the immediate term, markets are bad. The reason markets are bad is because there is so much FUD driven by geopolitical tensions, be it headlines or actual developments. US versus Iran, US versus Greenland, tariffs, these things, and I'm not here to talk about whether they're good or not, because that's not the point. The point is these headlines alone drive FUD and make investors hesitant. While they continue, you'll continue to see markets underperform, because there aren't enough reassuring catalysts to change that sentiment. Once you get clarity for regulations, once you get a new Fed chair that will hopefully align with pushing the markets forward, then you might see a shift in sentiment. Although, in saying that, when I made a massive deep dive in my VIP community earlier, which went through numerous documents covering the current market sentiment right now, plus some future reports I've worked about in the VIP, the overarching sentiment for why the markets are doing bad right now is because of the war or the concerns with US versus Iran, but also because investors are not pleased with Trump's nomination of Kevin Walsh as the new Fed chair, because he's typically quite hawkish. So that's stuff we've got to keep into mind. Of course, you want to be more tuned in, locked in ahead of the markets, understand how they're moving, and trade alerts and whatnot. We've already put in some trades in the VIP. Our trader Lamb has been popping off recently, and he made another small game recently on Trador, which is great. So if you want to find out more, make gains passively during these markets, come join the VIP. If you join right now, you can get 7 days free, and also a 1 month fee through BYDFI, our affiliate exchange as well. But the markets are looking good, unfortunately, but that does not mean they're down and out. It's just a correction, a shakeout, till we prepare for the reversal if and when it comes. Now, I might come back to this a little bit later on in the stream, but before I will get to some questions, and then we'll get into the big headline, which is Vitalik Buterin shifting more towards Kaspa once again. Starting off with, we got Greg here first. Welcome back, my man. Hope you're doing very, very well. And there you are as well, Gosu. Welcome back, brother. LB on the check, my man. Welcome back. Dimitar, 3-cent area. What is going on? As we just covered, it's the growing escalation between the US and Iran and potential nuclear warfare, causing oil to rally up while markets continue to dump. If you look at dollar right now, the dollar has rallied significantly recently because of the new Fed chair, Kevin Walsh, being Trump's current front-running candidate, or the one he's confirmed to the new Fed chair. And he's typically one who favors a strong dollar. There's speculation and theories from economists that what Kevin Walsh will likely do, based on his testimony, is he will cut rates like Trump wants, but he will reissue QT, which is not what we want to see, ideally. So we'll see how that manifests going forward. But right now, the markets are definitely not in favor of risk on. They're risk off, full risk off right now. Actually, no, they're risk off and somewhat rotational. We've seen some rotations coming out of crypto and some other tech stocks into safe havens, into AI as well, which once more, all the reports covering all of that is available in the VIP, in-depth breakdown analysis. There's links to that as well, and much more information, while also making gains. So you can find out more, stay ahead of the market, stay tuned in, locked in, and also making money at the same time through that community. By all means, links down below in the description. We don't speak about Bitcoin because Bitcoin with 30k capital was 5 cents. We don't make comparisons. The comparison is the thief of joy. I really don't like making comparisons between any projects, truth be told, because you could argue Kaspa to Bitcoin, but you could also argue Kaspa to Quantum Capital. Like, you can compare an asset to anything else. Comparison is the thief of joy. It's not worth doing. It just drives you insane. And yes, arguably we should be at 10 cents, but we're not. And that's because of all the headwinds we're seeing in the market. Welcome back, Double D. You're doing very well, my man. ETH was 1.2k capital 5 cents. Once more, comparison to the thief of joy. ETH was lower. You're comparing Kaspa, a speculative, still under the broad banner umbrella of being a speculative small mid-cap asset, to ETH and Bitcoin that are battle tested. You can't compare Kaspa to Bitcoin and ETH. In regards to tech, you can, but in regards to actual community sentiment and longevity and battle tested nature, you can't compare them. If you compare them, then you're comparing apple to oranges. You can't compare the two. Kaspa's not been around long enough. But the fact of the matter is, you are seeing posts like this. Vitalik Buterin talking about discussions they're having right now within Ethereum, talking about the fact that it can't scale on layer 2, so taking all the network and, the whole thing. The exact issues that Jonathan Polinsky was talking about years back, and the reason why he was not so happy with Igro and Casplex, because they could steal the network and what's the word I'm looking for? I find the word because of an S. It's splinter. It's not splinter. It's not splinter. It's another word for it. But it would make the network fracture because of layer 2. That was the concern some Polinsky had. And Vitalik Buterin talk about the exact same thing right now. And this is exactly the design they're talking about here. This is the block DAG. Vitalik Buterin is actively looking into making a design now that is based around basically Kaspa. If you were to read through this whole post here, effectively, what Vitalik's this tweet here is basically saying is that blocks pointing, he wants blocks to point to multiple parents, or accept all parallel blocks. That's the exact same logic that powers Kaspa. So while you might look at the price of ETH and Bitcoin and seeing that it was lower when Kaspa was here, and now they're up here and Kaspa's come down, don't do that, is all I can say, because you can't compare price to battle tested versus still new and speculative. But when you're seeing the founder of Ethereum saying they're going to rework the Ethereum network to match Kaspa in a block DAG consensus, that tells you that what's being built here is right. That further gives further credibility to the fact that when Visa and MasterCard are saying that we can't use stablecoins right now because the blockchain networks are not scalable enough, and now Vitalik Buterin's changing the Ethereum network to something that's Kaspa, it shows you that what Kaspa's built, what some Polinsky and the Kaspa core have built, is the right step towards mass adoption. So why are we worried? This has taken some Polinsky and the Kaspa core so many years to perfect. Do you really think Vitalik Buterin's going to be able to just flip a switch and do it? I don't. The difference behind what Vitalik Buterin's talking about here in Kaspa is just that Kaspa has built the entire layer 1 around this, where Vitalik is integrating DAG concepts. So it's not the exact same thing, but it is. Vitalik's going to rewire Ethereum to integrate DAG concepts, whereas Kaspa's whole architecture is built around DAG concepts. But Vitalik's wanted to copy something. The whole Ethereum network is based off the Ghost DAG architecture that was originally created by Jonathan Polinsky and Aviv Zohar. So it was already built off the infrastructure that Kaspa utilizes. And now they're doing it again. Vitalik Buterin argued that the original role of Layer 2 scaling Ethereum no longer fully holds. Ethereum is now scaling directly on Layer 1, lower fees, higher gas limits ahead. Many Layer 2s are slow to reach full trustlessness, or may never want to. His takeaway is Layer 1 should be an extremely reliable settlement and truth layer, that's what some Polinsky said already, and Layer 2 should focus on specialization, not just cheaper and faster, therefore not stealing the network away from the Layer 1, fracturing the Layer 1. Security must come from the protocol itself, not multi-sigs or bridges. This is why Kaspa is relevant here. Kaspa represents the opposite design choice. Extreme scaling directly on the layer 1 via DAG-based consensus, parallel blocks, and short block times no roll-ups, although they should be implemented at some point in the future. Ethereum scales via layers and rollups. Kaspa scales via consensus design. Shared principle. Credibility comes from protocol that takes responsibility for themselves. Different architectures, same core question. How do we build globally trustworthy systems? And Vitalik Buterin's answer here is effectively just a copy Kaspa again. I think what Pavel here said as well, that Vitalik woke up and chose violence. Yes, scaling with no value added narrative is over. In an endogenic world, interrupt compatibility, fractionlessness matters, and credible neutrality if it adds to your product, aka layer 2s were created to scale Ethereum, but became a separate business while keeping a symbiotic relationship with the base layer. Vitalik declared that being a faster Ethereum is no longer a business model and a layer 2 specializes. Note, Jonathan Polinsky predicted this. And Kaspa's block DAG is one of the few credibly neutral layers on the market comparable with Ethereum. I'm hoping you're picking up what we're putting down right now. The price sucks, and we can continue talking about it till death do us part. But when you are seeing leading infrastructure, leading networks failing to meet the goals of their shareholders, meet the demands of their investors, and they are rewiring to create something that is Kaspa, it tells you that what Kaspa's built is the right thing. And that means when the market recovers, Kaspa should have all the necessary, requirements to pump and then some. If everyone's going to try and rewire to Kaspa, then the one who's actually got it right first and foremost should reap most of the rewards. Especially because Kaspa is being interoperable now. Acre is now releasing their mainnet in the next few months, and they're bringing on stablecoins that'll be able to bridge to multiple chains, connect to Ethereum. Kaspex can bridge to the Binance Smart Chain and the Ethereum chains as well. So you have got interoperability with Kaspa coming soon, which is huge. It was fragmented. That's what it is. Fragmented. That's what I'm looking for. Yes. Thank you very much, Tony. Some of the ETH versus Kaspa stuff reminds me of FTM back in the day. The main dev was displeased with his innovation. Open source nature of FTM resulted in lots trying to copy him. Yeah, I mean, yeah. I think that's ultimately the thing. You remember you got Nick Szabo, who is the creator of smart contracts, who stated that the block DAG architecture has a lot of potential. He's still concerned, still raised potential concerns with it as there is with anything, but he said the block DAG architecture it's got potential. And you've seen most of the projects in this space are built on top of the consensuses that Tom Polinsky and Aviv Zohar created, be it Phantom, be it Spectre, be it Ghost DAG. And now you're seeing Vitalik Buterin saying that we're going to shift the Ethereum architecture to incorporate DAGs on top of it, which is basically what Kaspa is as an actual architecture itself, as a protocol. So they're trying to incorporate Kaspa designs to make Ethereum more scalable. I like it. It's crazy to me seeing that publicized by Vitalik Buterin and people still seeing that and then still having faith in Kaspa. Of course, I'm a Kaspa maxi. I'm here to make money, of course. I've made money in other assets. Not made too much in Kaspa, apart from when I've traded it, which you've seen recently. But when you're seeing the number two crypto project and the biggest ecosystem in crypto saying they're changing the architecture because they can't scale and they're going to shift back to how it should have been, the layer 1 being the dominating factor, and they're going to incorporate DAGs to help do that Kaspa's architecture, why are we worried about Kaspa's price? I ask that as a rhetorical question because I understand why you should be worried and you're not incorrect to be worried. But you understand the tech that Kaspa has is what institutions and what they desire, what they require. Vitalik Buterin recognizes that, so we should be able to recognize that as well. This is huge news. I think Jonathan Polinsky is too quick for others to copy, though, in my opinion. I would argue yes as well. I mean, what Kaspa Core are doing are reinventing the wheel. It's one thing, following a blueprint, which, you could argue Vitalik Buterin and others can follow some Polinsky in what he's building. But what Kaspa are building is not been done before. They're reinventing the wheel in real time. And they have so many devs who are all working on it right now, building it up. This is from last week. Luke is creating new enhanced features. between nodes. You've got Fresh Air doing some stuff for fee mechanisms. You've got Coder's stuff, work on the DAG Knight. You've got working on Python. You've got working on vprogs. You've got working on ZK verifications, which is huge. Which I made a post about that, publicizing some of the Coinbase documentation, which talks about why ZK is so big and how it's going to continue being the trend throughout this year. You also got Michael Sutton, who's working on ZK verification as well. You got Ezio working on mini vprog contracts and ZK proofs. Like, you've got so much building going on right now. And you're seeing the second biggest project in crypto trying to copy the base architecture of Kaspa so they can scale properly. The tech, I understand people saying tech is irrelevant if the price doesn't move, and you're not incorrect in saying that. But when you're seeing others copy your tech, or I say copy, but incorporate elements of your tech for the second time, it's not the first time Vitalik Buterin's done this, for the second time, it tells you that what Kaspa building is the future. It should at least tell you that it's the future. It's just a matter of when it catches on, and with these Casplexes and stablecoins and IGRA and stablecoins and KRI and their enterprise projects coming out, for me the adoption is only a matter of when, not a matter of if. It will come through. And we're saying at 3.1 cents. That's insane. Good evening, Brett, my manager, doing very, very well. And yeah, I also agree, Sutton's also probably way too quick. And I completely agree. If you enjoy the live streams, the daily content and the videos and stuff that we do in this community, leave a like, share your friends, and subscribe for more. I smashed it too hard and I broke the button. Break it again. Shouldn't it be your wallet that breaks because there's not enough room in it for the money? Yeah, honestly, it could be. Welcome back, Nuck. You did very, very well, my man. And yeah, thank you very much again, Tony. It was fragmented. That's the word I was looking for. Yeah, layer 2 on top of the layer 1 fragments the network. What you're seeing on Ethereum right now, that's the issue that Vitalik Buterin is raising, that layer 2 have fragmented it too much. That's why they're reworking Ethereum right now to where layer 1 becomes the actual protocol and the layer 2s just add specialized features as opposed to actually stealing and fragmenting the network, which is what Kaspa's been trying to focus on since the beginning. That's why Jonathan Topolinsky has been a bit haphazardous with IGRA and Casplex, not being so pleased with the idea of it because of the way it could fragment the network. But I mean, from what I have seen, I can attest to what we can go to Ashton's post. Ashton's post in regards of what IGRA's building and the stablecoins coming on board and why it's so important. Ashton's great at giving a very, very easy to understand rundown of it all. Where is it? Here. So, bottom line is, what IGRA's building with stablecoins coming on board, you'll get instant access to trusted assets and real DeFi infrastructure. For the builders, you'll have liquidity solved instantly, and it will launch with confidence. For Kaspa, you get revenue streams that strengthen the security budget as IGRA grows, plus potential for massive ecosystem expansion with known standards plus trusted assets. This is how you should scale a proof-of-work ecosystem into DeFi without compromising on decentralization or security, and without waiting around for institutions like Circle or Tether to decide to pay them enough when the time is right. What's happening right now? IGRA, they're not their aim is not to impact Kaspa, more so just to further. It's exactly what Vitalik Buterin was referring to in regards to the layer 2s. IGRA's aiming to just to provide these layer 2 elements to it. You know, the layer 2s need to be specialized. That's what IGRA is basically there to help specialize and bring more adoption to Kaspa, as opposed to taking over the network that would end up fracturing it. Vitalik Buterin said that on the 3rd of February yesterday. Tom Polinsky said this in according to the Medium article here. We're looking at it back in 2020, March 2020. This is 6 years ago. 6 years ago, Tom Polinsky raised a concern about also the concern of Ethereum, and we're seeing it 6 years later. Vitalik Buterin's now finally accepted it, and his solution: let's copy Kaspa. Let's incorporate DAG concepts into the network, whereas Kaspa's got it ingrained into its base architecture. That's such a big deal that people are just. I feel like people don't give it enough credit. Ether talking about this because the layer 2s have sucked value out of the layer 1. Yep. That's the main thing I've seen over time. Tech Lead on YouTube did a great video on exactly this for a while. I'll post it in the Discord from Tech Lead. Very interesting watch, in my opinion, for those who are not aware of the layer 2 Ethereum issue currently. Yeah, so thank you very much again, Greg. If you're in the feed, if you've not seen it, you can check the free Discord server out, link down below in the description, where you can see the daily discussions happening regarding market, crypto, Kaspa, whatever it may be, and people who are there actively posting and just sharing knowledge and stuff like that in there as well. Greg does a great job showing charts frequently as well. So you can check all of that stuff out. Link down below in the description, see the videos talking about as well. But yes, Vitalik Buterin is talking about the fact that layer 2s are sucking liquidity out of the layer 1, which causes the issue you're seeing the layer 1 with. It's so expensive and it's so slow. So trying to incorporate DAG elements to fix that issue, incorporate Kaspa elements to fix that issue. Of course, Kaspa is not. It's not they're incorporating Kaspa into it. I shouldn't frame it that way. But Kaspa is quite widely known as the block DAG architecture. You've seen other block DAGs coming out, which have always failed comparatively to Kaspa. What Kaspa's building is by all means innovative, reinventing the wheel, and what they have built, the consensus they've built, those elements are now going to be kind of hopeful in Vitalik Buterin's mind, from what I'm reading, taken out some the elements that Kaspa's kind of already got integrated into its architecture and plugged into Ethereum, so they can scale properly. Good evening, Greta. You're doing very, very well. Damson met with Vitalik and gave the house away. I mean, I think I see why you say that, but I think it's fine. I think I'm all right with it. I think Ethereum is a big institution, big ecosystem. I don't know if the solution they have is going to be enough to fix it all. I think it might solve some issues, but I still don't think that. I don't think this is going to be enough to let Ethereum become the backbone for everything going forward. Because if we're just talking about the DAG element as well, that alone is not enough. That's why you're seeing some Polinsky and the core building DAGNITE, VProcs, Covenants, ZK. They're building so many more elements on top of it that's not incorporated into Ethereum. These are also going to help Kaspa scale 100 blocks per second as opposed to just 10. I don't know if they're going to try and do a 10 or whatever BPS it is on this, but I know they're trying to incorporate DAG and parallel blocks. Is it going to be just 1 BPS, which means they're already going to be 10 times behind Kaspa, or is it going to be 10, which means they catch up, but then Kaspa's already going to upgrade anyways? And I can imagine once Kaspa upgrades, Vitalik will just copy that as well. He's already done it 2 or 3 times, so do it again. But as long as Kaspa keeps innovating, eventually the people will come to the realization that it's just copying an actual superior chain. While ETH may try to copy, it's still a proof of stake and not a proof of work. Completely agree. ETH can try to be Kaspa, but they'll never be able to do so unless they go back to proof of work. Yeah, completely agree. And at that point, I think they'd lose the trust of their investors. They did that as well. Big one knows the difference between proof of work and proof of stake, as much as we all like to think they're boomers. I mean, boomers don't want to get involved in crypto because they don't understand it. They have to have these tech-savvy, cryptosphere people to help explain the difference between them, and they'll trust them as advisors. So, yeah. The big money know the difference between proof of work and proof of stake. They do. And they'll do what their advisors in crypto tell them. If they can see what Vitalik's doing and seeing it's just a proof of stake kind of plug and play of what Kaspa's done as a proof of work, for me, Kaspa adoption it will come. In other news, you've got some other big updates here. Hans said that there's another big PR coming. This PR introduces a layer 1 bridge which establishes a communication interface with the layer 2 node to receive data from the layer 1 in a reliable and deterministic way, which is pretty big news from what I can tell. Of course, I'll leave the link to this in my free Discord community as well. Commodity, Bitcoin, Kaspa versus security, the rest of the OGs. I completely agree. Wiley Way, welcome back, my man. Crypto Archie saying there is a massive falling wedge on the Kaspa chart, logarithmic. I mean, yes, I haven't looked at that myself, but I don't need to look at the TA to see that Kaspa's in a downtrend right now. I respect for Archie and what he does, but a lot of what I see is a lot of technical analysis, and that's fine. I mean, he's made his gains, he's done very well. And I do very much agree that TA is important, but I think TA is just so... I think TA alone is not enough. I've always said that. I think TA is great and it can help you adjust the markets, and I use TA in these streams and my content frequently. But TA alone is not enough. The chart might say Kaspa's falling down, but end of the day, as you saw tomorrow, US versus Iran, peace treaty signed, Trump doesn't want Greenland anymore. Jerome Powell, emergency meeting to just cut rates significantly and print money. Although that would probably be a bit of a concern if he did do that. But you saw all these, and the market structure bill just pass into law straight away. If you saw all those things happen, in theory, what did the market matter? So I haven't looked at this falling wedge pattern, although I can kind of see it right now. If I was to draw one out, I think I'm on the logarithmic, am I not? No. Yeah, I mean, you can see that right now. So falling wedge would probably be around like that. And then, actually no, tell a lie. It would be here. That would be the falling wedge pattern I'm assuming he's referring to. More or less around this region. And yeah, that does look quite accurate right now. We are in the logarithmic, we are in a falling wedge, but I don't need this to tell. I don't need this TA to tell me that we're in a downtrend for Kaspa. The market's in a downtrend. You know? Yeah, you're right, LB. TA does not outperform a Trump tweet. You know, jokes aside, that's exactly the case. The price of Kaspa and the negative action is not the news. The price of Kaspa and the negative action is because of the news. The news is not what it is because Kaspa's going down, if that makes sense. It's the fundamentals that impact the chart. Of course, TA is important, and I'm not going to ever say it's not. But the way I use TA, the reason why I have been successful in what I've been doing, the reason why I've been able to make so many gains in trading recently as well, is because I can use TA to help me judge levels of support and resistance to know where to entry and exit. And then I use that knowledge, pair with fundamental research, the macro analysis, the geopolitical developments and the stuff to help me know if the market should be moving up or down. Right now, we are hearing a lot of negative news. Some I've not even mentioned in the stream regarding AI stuff as well. That's also caused some headwinds. This is why you're seeing the market acting the way it does. It has been doing so right now. So yes, you're not incorrect, Riley. And neither is Archie. We are in a falling wedge right now. We are in a downtrend, and that's going to continue until we see a shift in the general consensus of Bitcoin and crypto. What's going to happen, we don't know yet. There are certain catalysts to take into account: regulations, what the Fed's doing, whatever happening across borders or just geopolitics. That whether you see them favorable or not, that will impact the market. But right now, you can look at gold and silver and see that we're very much in a risk-off environment. While we're in that, of course, Kaspa is in a falling wedge. Of course, Bitcoin is down. Look at Bitcoin. You know, we're talking on Wednesday. On Wednesday last week, you've seen Bitcoin lose almost 20%. Bitcoin down 20% in a week. We're not talking about Kaspa here. Bitcoin, a multi-trillion dollar asset down 20% in a week. You know, this is such clear proof that we're in a downtrend. Comparatively to Kaspa, same time frame, we're down about the similar price action right now to Bitcoin, 20% give or take. So yeah, he's not wrong. You're on a falling wedge, and I have been very transparent about the fact that Kaspa can go lower. I think he probably do right now. But if I can go back, let's see if my trading view is fortunate enough to go back. I doubt it. Is it going to go back for me? Oh, it does. Nice. Yeah. I'm not under the impression, and again, TA can be helpful for this sort of stuff, but I'm not currently under the impression that if Kaspa manages to break above this, we're going up. I don't believe that, because that's not how my TA... Again, if your TA works that way, then fine. You do you. My TA does not work that way. You know? I don't see Kaspa breaks out of this wedge. How these wedge patterns should correlate and how they should work is if Kaspa breaks below that, we go lower. If Kaspa breaks above this, we go higher. That's how it should work. But right now, with the markets being so heavily focused on geopolitics and the general fundamentals, TA be damned. That's what our experienced trader, C Crypto, and our VIP community basically says, that we do the TA every single week and it's helpful. But he always reiterates, The fundamentals matter so much right now. I'll do my TA, I'll report on the zones of where we should be looking out for and what we should be hoping for, but fundamentals drive the markets. Will Iran and US continue to battle that out? Will Trump go after Greenland again? Will we see this peace treaty come and this trade deal finalized? We can only hope. Will we see more FUD and a lack of movement in the Clarity Act? These developments, this one's not as impactful. What impactful more so is this. This is a lot more impactful right now. And this. Tariffs and this geopolitics, Middle East stuff. That's impacting the market a lot more. Plus, this as well, which I've also mentioned in my VIPs as well. This is a big hit to tech and AI. So, yeah, I don't disagree with Archie at all. But the reason why I don't talk on that too much is because if I was to, then that means I'm agreeing with the fact that if Kappa breaks above here, we're going up, which I don't agree with right now. If Kappa breaks above here, then fantastic. But if the markets are still bad because geopolitics are still rampant and is a growing tension, it'll just end up correcting back into it again. Kappa's just dumping. You guys know my TA though. That's my TED talk. You know my TA is literally as simple as look at the market chart. You can see the market chart now. You can see where you've seen areas where you've seen support or resistance here, and therefore understand this is where you see traders battle it out, buying and selling. So you can therefore just from that alone determine that this is going to be a level of support for Kaspa. That's what you're seeing right now. That's all my TA needs to be. And then we look at the markets and the news every single day in the VIP, every day to determine whether the market's going to move up or down. And we also give forward-looking news as well, like this is what we should be looking out for this week. If this happens, it'll go up. If it doesn't happen, it'll go down. The government reopened, and we were expecting with the government reopening a bit of a pump or some form of consolidation, but unfortunately, we were met immediately with this Middle East stuff. The government reopened on Tuesday. So you did see a little bit of a relief on the Monday in preparation for the government to reopen. And then you saw government reopen, and then you saw Middle East, US versus Iran, and then you saw the markets dump. Geopolitics drives the markets, not TA. That's my stance, and forever will be my stance. Nothing against Archie at all, of course. Nothing at all against him. But that's not how I do my content, basically. He's not wrong, but that's not how I do my content. Hyperliquid Wells pumping because they have big unlocks coming. Yeah, I think Hyperliquid will probably perform well this year, but I'm not buying, at least not yet. TA is only good in a neutral market. Too many geopolitical issues going on right now. Yeah, couldn't have said it better myself. TA is See Crypto, our trader on our VIP, he thrives. He did so well around like these periods here where you just saw markets chopping sideways, because that's when TA is great. It lets you know support on this business. It lets you know the zones where it's fine support and business, and you can just get such the amount of money C's actually made in our community by talking about Ethereum. Ethereum's got such a very beautiful chart for TA. It's very textbook. Look at all these zones. You just see it trading comfortably within the zone time and time again. The short and long to be able to make in these periods is so good. That's when TA is fantastic. Right now, TA is not so relevant. Because obviously if it was irrelevant, we would be told what Bitcoin's going to correct to. I've mentioned Bitcoin correct to X, Y. You know, the zone is at right now. Next zone would be around 69k, give or take. Like that's where we're seeing Bitcoin correct to if it loses this zone today, probably. TA is good for that, but that's as far as it goes for me. Of course, you've got to do your own research and use your own TA, try your own discussion, stuff like that. You can learn about this stuff in the VIP as well. There are some videos and courses that C Crypto put in there already that talks about supports, zones, how to trade off them. And then as you tune in every single week to the VIP, you'll hear more about him talking about it as well in our weekly live streams. And you also get the macro update stuff we post in there frequently, which goes into more detail about what's happening in the market, about what we should be looking out for, what we should be expecting. You get the macro updates as well about what we see that came out, the ISM that came out as well. And then, of course, the institutional documents, stuff like that I've put in there as well. You know, we put a lot of information, a lot of work into this community. Our team is working hard on it so we can navigate this market accordingly. And I can say comfortably right now, we're actually making money in this terrible market. So while our holdings in Kaspa is going down, the gains we're making are still going up. So it's not a concern for me right now. I'll get to buy cheaper Kaspa. but I'll be upset by that. We've got other updates here as well. Casplex, apparently they've reported they're not idle, and the teams are being onboarded, which is quite nice to see. But they said broader activity on all other layer 2s is the current market. So yeah, we can see it from here. Casplex are all the other teams that are being seemingly onboarded right now. Anchor, Bits Lab, Chainslink, DAG, Scan, Crypto API, Circle. So Circle is officially connected to Casplex right there, which is huge. Elipal, 4C, CasFun, Kaspa Finance, Cascade, all these people who are working alongside Caspa right now, which is really cool to see. Of course, the big one there is Circle. We knew that anyway, but absolute confirmation here as well. Circle is a part of Casplex, which is fantastic. IGRA made a post here as well on the IGRA EVM finality as well, which I haven't actually had a chance to properly look through, but I thought I'd just showcase it on stream right now. We post it in my community. We could talk about it later on probably. We just talked about how finality works on high BPS chains and why it matters for IGRA and Kaspa as well. So I'm actually just also trying to emphasize, well, again, I want to talk about the difference between Ethereum as well, funnily enough. So actually, in my video that I posted earlier regarding Visa, I'll probably make another video delving deeper into what Vitalik Buterin just said and talk about how Kappa differs and how IGRA is also doing their own thing to help that as well. So I'll probably do that, if not tomorrow, maybe Friday. And then also got Cats as well here, made a new update. Multi-network token bridge testnet is now live for public testing as well, which is also pretty cool stuff, connecting Caspa's testnet 10 to IGRA and Casplex as well. So shout out to Cat for that as well. You'll be able to seamlessly switch between Kaspa, between Casplex, and between IGRA, which is a very, very big benefit. TA didn't predict October 10th. Yeah, exactly right. TA did not predict that. No one predicted that. That was a result of Trump issuing some form of some trade deal or tariff on China again, which drove a lot of fun because everyone thought that had been resolved, but that's what started it. And then, of course, you had the government shutdown that started in October. So it was already like government shutdown, so the fund was already growing, and then Trump issued tariffs on China, and then you just saw the market just capitulate. But the TA didn't predict that. The reason why is tariffs and government shutdown. Exactly what's happening right now, or what happened earlier. Government shutdown, geopolitics, and tariffs is what's driving the markets right now. And in my belief, if I'm to be speculative, I think it's being done by design to get investors to panic, so institutions who got in late can buy at the lower entries. And I think we've still got lower entries to come. I'll be honest. I said to my VIPs earlier that I've got some assets that I've got on my radar that I'm looking to get to at certain zones, like Hype, for example. I don't like Hype. I don't think it's a great project in my personal belief. I think it's got a lot of issues, but it performed very, very well last cycle. And I see it repeating that when the markets return. So once it gets to a certain entry level, I plan to put a little bit in. Which you can find all that information out on the VIP, and there's also a Google Doc in there as well. It provides a deep, in-depth rundown about Hyperliquid, about what it is, the project it is, and my belief in it, albeit not a big one, but either way. But right now I'm pretty much holding Kaspa and a few others, but I've not been buying anything at all recently. I've already been buying Kaspa, but I've not bought anything. I'm just holding stable coins, and once the markets find some form of bottom, when it finds that bottom, I'll then start stacking up on the assets that I've been looking for entry zones in the AI sector, in the real world asset sector, and then the other sectors we're looking into as well, privacy and whatnot. But yeah, with that being said, family, slightly earlier today, but that does conclude today's Kaspa and Crypto live stream. To make a short recap, those who might be tuned in a little bit late and didn't watch the playback, markets are terrible. It's not news to us. We are very tired. We are very frustrated. But at the same time, this is not a case of Kaspa being a bad project. This is not a case of crypto being a failed project or a failed design. If you've been paying attention to not even just the mainstream is now mainstream. If you pay attention to this kind of the confidential documentation, they are actively talking about how to incorporate crypto into their technology. The price is down, they still have utmost faith in crypto. So the price is down, that's because of geopolitics, Russia, Ukraine, Iran, US, the butting of head between Dems and Republicans still causing some uncertainty. If you want to be up to date, more in tune to what's happening, once more, you can check out the VIPs. You sign up now, you get the first 7 days free access, and you get a 1 month free access through our affiliate exchange BYDFI. The steps on how to do so are available in the free Discord server. The markets are probably going to see some more headwinds in the immediate short term, in my personal belief, not financial advice, of course. The bottom will be revealed in due time. I still think 2026 can be a very big year because of the developments coming out this year regarding AI, regarding regulations, which there are documents and institutional breakdowns about that in the VIP, which is why I'm talking about it. And then in regard to Kaspa being down, yeah, it sucks. But when you're and you think the tech's not enough, I get that. Tech's not enough for the price. But then when you look at what the biggest ecosystem in crypto, Ethereum is talking about how they want to incorporate the DAG, lets you know the tech is actually important. And that Kaspa is most likely fine. Just when we need to wait for the market to return, if we can wait that long, that is. But that being said, have a good one, everyone. Have a great day, good evening, and good night. And I will see you all